Hello, everybody. Tushy Galore here for those of you who don't know me. And for those of you who do, welcome back. Those of you who comment and put a like on my videos, thank you. It means a lot to me that people still watch and that you want to interact with me and say, hey, I love that. Thank you. Just me and the kitty sitting around. John just had to go back. He cares for handicapped people in their homes. Gets makes sure they're clean and fed and a lot of medical stuff. He used to be a nurse, so yeah. So he had to go back to his morning kid, go back and watch him for a little while Mama runs some errands. And then he's off to another town to take care of another kid. He's cool as hell. John is very good man, very good-hearted. So I may have to plug in. I probably should. Whoops, no, I don't have my glasses on. I can't see what I'm doing. That's my nail file. I hope I don't accidentally unplug this because that happens. This meaning my light. Okay, kids, so I promised you. There, I've got it plugged in. I promised you that I would tell you a paranormal story, something that happened to me. I made this video once already and I got really choked up and very upset, and I didn't feel like sharing it because I didn't want to be seen in that light. So I'll retell it and try to do better than I did the last time, because there are some sensitive points to this story that involve minors, and I don't feel free to really talk about it freely. Okay, it was August here in Arkansas. Very hot. It was 99 degrees. We had children here with us, and I thought it would be funny when we took them home to stop at a mausoleum. I'm kind of obsessed with mausoleums right now, and I had looked up one in a town we had to go through to take them home, and I wanted to check it out anyway. But I thought, get them there and then tell them, there's bodies in the wall. Behind this plate, there's a casket and a dead person. And, I wanted to hear him go, ew, and be weirded out by it. But we got there and they're like, oh, is that a mausoleum? So, can't surprise some people. So, the inside part was rather large, big chapel, but it was locked. And this cemetery was very large and looked kind of old, and uh, it was in kind of a semi-rural neighborhood, which surprised me. I guess it was on the outskirts of the town. And I was really surprised that out there they would have a mausoleum, especially a large one. So there were also on the outsides of the building, there were little path you take, and then there were several outside, tall but covered uh, crypts, mausoleum crypts all the way up to the ceiling. And some of them were sitting there open, and there was nothing in them, but it was a little unnerving to see all those empty crypts. And a lot of them were double size, made where you could shove one coffin in sideways and then shove another in by it. It's for couples. So one of them was open, and it was just about at the right height to very easily get in. And I would have done it, but I had this terror that somehow I would break it and fall through to the casket below. So I egged one of the kids into doing it. She was happy to do it because she's a little show off and nothing scares her really. So she climbed in and I took pictures. And we were laughing and having a good time. One of the young people who was with us, is kind of troubled. Let's put it that way. And he was being pretty good, but I feel silly talking about this. I really do. But this happened. You can talk to John about it. Ask him that this happened. Okay, so they were over for the weekend. We went there, did that. The very next morning, I woke up hideously sick, and I ended up in the hospital. and I spent the week in the hospital. And when I got out, I was very weak, and even in the hospital, things didn't feel right to me. And I had a chill, a really bad, bad chill, but no fever. And they were like, there's no reason for you to be chilled. And just one of those chills that just would not go away. And I had just a strange feeling, and just thought, well, it's because my system is out of whack. My chemicals are out of balance. But when I got home from the hospital, it got worse. Constant chills. Hi, Stella. Come here, sweet girl. Got constant chills, and just I was super angry, super angry. And there had been an event in the family, and my reaction was really over the top, and I was doing and saying things that were not in my nature to do and say, and I couldn't control myself. And when I would fly into one of these rages, I couldn't stop. I tried to stop, and I couldn't stop. And I felt like I was watching myself from outside of my body. It was very strange. And even in the hospital, I had a sensation like this is spiritual. This is it, spirits can make you feel sick. They can. Whether they're going, this is how I died, this is how sick I felt, or whether they're trying to punish someone. They can do it. And it's a very peculiar feeling, and it's different from just physical illness. Stella's going to get in my lap. Hey, sweetheart. Um, if you've ever felt it, you know what I'm talking about. It's like sickness in your soul. It's weird. So it kept up, and I realized at some point I had to get really real and not brush it off as being just coincidence. I realized that what I needed to do was go back and apologize. I also realized that in the hubbub of having three young people with us, that I had failed to say, y'all can't go home with us. Get out of the car. Don't get in the car. Stay, I always say that. I say, you can't go home with me. I wish you well. But I didn't do that. I also didn't do what I often do in cemeteries or haunted places, which is to try to open a portal. Again, I feel ridiculous repeating this, but I do. I pray and I ask God to open the door and to send their mothers or, angels or whoever that they can trust and go with. And I've had some really interesting results from doing that. I didn't do that. And it was so hot. And we just got out of there. So next time we had to go pick them up, I had John stop at the cemetery at the mausoleum, and I went in there. I actually filmed it. It was nighttime. It was dark, and that made it really pretty creepy. But I went to both sides of this building where they had outdoor crypts and cat hair. And I apologized. I sincerely apologized. I'm like, I know one of you followed me home, and you've been making me horribly sick all week. And it's not okay. And I want to apologize to you if we offended you in any way. But please stop. Just stop. I can't take this anymore. And I videotaped it. I filmed it on my camera. I thought about posting it, but unless you know this story, it's kind of just dumb and tedious, and you can't see much. But I may post it anyhow. If I knew how to edit my stuff on the phone, my videos on the phone, I would edit it together, and you could see that. But the next morning, I woke up and I felt like I'd been reborn. I felt so good. Could it be psychological, psychosomatic? Yeah, I guess. Could be. But then John pointed out that when I had heart failure over a year ago, that the day before I had been at a cemetery, and I had been collecting up silk flowers, ones that were discarded or just blowing around the cemetery. I was going to make something with them, but I carried home a ton of them, and some of them made me feel weird. There was one in particular, these big white lilies, that made me feel peculiar. Maybe whoever whoever's grave they were on, maybe they're pissed off that I took the flowers. The flowers were garbage, but whatever. And I got horribly ill and almost died the next morning. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. But whatever it was, they stopped. They left me alone. And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And John said that he didn't want to take me to any more cemeteries because of it, because it was that bad. And I certainly am thinking twice about going to any of them, especially mausoleums. They seem to be more haunted than just the in-ground burials. I don't know why. They're eerie places to be in. So that's all. Now you know your story, and you have your paranormal story, and I have just a gross, weird story that I want to share with everyone that I'll make a separate video for. Anyhow, I love y'all. Mwah.